Coming soon to a screen near you, the future of television. The video streaming service Netflix is becoming so powerful, its share price has just hit an all-time high. The firm, which began by offering subscribers films and TV shows on demand, is now creating high-quality content of its own. It's already produced hits like House of Cards, which starred Kevin Spacey, thanks in part to a computer algorithm designed to work out what people really want to watch. In a minute, we'll hear from the Netflix boss, Ted Sarandos, but first, here's Katie Razzle.
The end of television as we know it. Is that where subscription, on-demand TV through the internet leads? You may not have heard of Netflix, but its remake of House of Cards starring Kevin Spacey is the first made-for-online show ever nominated for an Emmy Award.
Well, you certainly have my undivided attention.
The internet TV provider launched the entire series in one go, allowing viewers to binge on Kev.
Netflix gives subscribers unlimited access to its film and TV library and new shows. It streams the material to any device you choose, whenever you want it. Forget waiting to watch a show. This is TV catching up with the demands of the internet generation.
I have to go to another prison.
Like this is the Radisson and you don't like your room?
Now Netflix is piling millions of dollars into its own commissions, like the prison drama Orange is the New Black. It's not the only company offering TV this way, so what does it all mean for viewers?
So can you please just cut me some slack?
You're going to be able to get what you want anywhere at any time, but the stuff is still the same. A great story, brilliantly told, and so, you know, the content's not changing, it's just its method of delivery.
We've got to get you to that acting class.
But listen to this. If you subscribe to Netflix, it monitors your viewing habits. It knows that you like dysfunctional dramas narrated by Ron Howard.
His wife was also confined to a smoke-filled room.
Or perhaps for you, it's all about Kevin Spacey.
Who are you?
Netflix has devised an algorithm, a way of crunching all the data to infer what else you'll like. Another political thriller directed by David Fincher, for example. They can then offer similar shows up for you to watch.
The danger of using a formula to buy programmes rather than relying on human beings with insights and gut instincts is that perhaps you're not going to get these really genuinely different off-the-wall programmes that no one saw coming. I mean, writers pride themselves on taking audiences to places they didn't know they wanted to go. So quite how the Netflix model fits into that very creative vision, I'm not sure.
The way those creatures gnaw and nibble can do a lot of damage to your nerves.
It's a far cry from when audiences made a weekly date with creative risk-takers like Dennis Potter, when you couldn't watch The Singing Detective whenever you felt like it. So what does its producer think of creating TV by algorithm?
There'll be a comeuppance in that, because I think the one thing you can't predict for very long is what the audience will want, because the audience changes, there's generational changes, there are taste changes, there are attention type changes, and you just have to keep ahead. And the only way of keeping ahead, in my view, but I would say this, wouldn't I, is to take creative risks.
Now, nobody's saying the Chatsworth estate is the Garden of Eden.
Risk-taking television does produce hits, and commissioners know it, which is why the writer behind the likes of Shameless is always in demand and unafraid by what the future holds.
It is a really exciting time for television. I think all the marbles have been chucked and scrambled, and I think we're coming back in a really healthy order.
A healthy order that's new and sees Steven Spielberg making a spin-off of the video game Halo for Microsoft, which will launch its own TV through the internet via the Xbox games console later this year. And no doubt it too will be monitoring subscribers' viewing habits using big data. Television has entered a new world.
Katie Razzle reporting. Well, earlier, Ted Sarandos came into the studio. He's the Chief Content Officer of Netflix. But you appear now to have discovered the elixir of life when it comes to television content, which is that you find out exactly through viewing habits and the rest of it, what it is that viewers really want, and then you just do it, give it to them.
Yes, and we bet on the consumer, that they'll be smart and they'll choose things that are great, and we bet on storytellers that tell great stories.
But this algorithm you've got, which is derived of big data, which is extracted from their habits in watching what you're doing, tells you everything?
No, I think what we don't do is you reverse engineer great content, because I don't think that can be done. Everything is kind of execution dependent, just like it always has been.
Yeah. Is it any good?
Yeah. What we can do though is determine with a remarkable amount of accuracy the potential audience for a show that is good, and then it's up to the storyteller to make a great show. So what we've been good at is saying, with all the elements that we know go into a show like House of Cards, an Oscar-nominated screenwriter, David Fincher, maybe the greatest director of our generation, bona fide movie stars like Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright in the lead, a piece of intellectual property like the original House of Cards to look at. And you take all the data and all the viewing behavior and say, there's actually an enormous audience for that show, and we could invest very aggressively for it if we're willing to bet that the show will be executed well. And with those kind of players and those kind of storytellers at play, it was a pretty safe bet.
I'm just worried that in a sense it has something kind of 1984 or Brave New World about it, that in a sense you're getting into a straitjacket of consuming things that are safe in a way.
But we're doing the opposite of that with it, though, is we're putting things on television that otherwise would never be put on American television or television around the world. Orange is the New Black is a cast made up of nearly all women. It's the most ethnically and physically diverse cast on television. None of the actresses that are cast in those roles are kind of the typical sitcom actress that you'd see on television today. And yet, all those things that would make a studio network, a network or a studio wince, actually are the things that make the show great and why it has such a huge audience, why people love that show.
As you're able to look into the future with some accuracy as far as one can see, what happens to me? What happens to news? What happens to live events? Well, there won't be any space for anyone like us on Netflix because you don't want us.
This perhaps is the good news, which is that as we continue to grow, we are a very low-cost service, so you don't have to cancel anything to take on Netflix. And because we don't focus on those things that are most important to linear television, we don't cannibalize it either. So
we might survive.
Absolutely. I think linear television, becomes about what's happening right now. So, and by the way, that doesn't mean...
I bet 10 years ago you might have said it would be dead.
Perhaps. But I would have said, I would have said that DVDs would be dead by now too.
Mm-hmm.
These things take very slow, or evolve very, very slowly, because they're generational and behavioral. My kids laugh that I even own a DVD, and I still buy a CD at Starbucks every once in a while. So,
well, I'm going to buy the box set of House of Cards.
Yeah. So I just think, by the way, that behavior of you watching the box set is actually seeding the behavior of wanting to see things in multiple episodes in one single sittings, and that will make you want to do it so badly you'll join Netflix. It's the one thing that grandparents and grandchildren both do is watch Netflix on an iPad because it's so easy to use.
On that hard sales pitch, thank you very much indeed, Sarandos. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the most important fact there, we survive. We shall continue.
They can't get rid of us, though I'm sure many would like to.